All right, this is shocking about the latest from Putin. Pergoshin, the leader of the Wagner mercenary and military group, the paid contractors paid directly from the Kremlin that the Kremlin never took responsibility for yet, now all of a sudden does. We've got some updates on what happened to that Legacy 600 plane. So, first of all, there was a flight attendant who apparently was assigned to that plane, died on that plane. Before she went on that plane, she messaged her family. This is all, of course, unconfirmed because this is all a lot of this is speculation, but it's interesting. Before she went on that flight, said it was suspicious that it looked like there were some unusual emergency repairs being conducted on the aircraft before they boarded the plane. Now, this is interesting because if we combine this with the fact that we believe the plane was shot down thanks to fragment holes in different pieces of the plane's artifacts that have fallen to the ground, and the way the plane fell to the floor, and in combination with the CIA, Western intelligence, telling us this was either shot out of the sky or blown up, we think there's a chance a bomb was planted on that plane, combining this data and some of these facts that we're suspecting. Now, the bizarre part about all of this is that there's also a rumor maybe it was a crate of wine that was brought into the plane that was laced with explosives. So we don't know which it could be or what it is, but these are some of the rumors that contribute to this idea that, hey, a mid-air explosion could have occurred and been, let's say, ordered by Mr. Putin. Now, of course, as soon as somebody suggests that Putin took out the Wagner military group leader who tried to overthrow Putin, people suggest, oh, that's just Western propaganda. So now all of a sudden, after these allegations that that's Western propaganda are circulating, now we hear this new thesis that maybe Prigozhin faked his own death. After all, there was a second plane circling in that area and then diverted to another airport after the accident and explosion, accident/explosion, intentional explosion, who knows, of the Legacy 600 on which supposedly Pergoshin was. Now this makes the story get a little deeper because I said yesterday I believe Pergoshin was already dead. I think the reason the mutiny ended was because he was captured and then tortured and killed, probably. It would be an easy way to say he died in this accidental plane crash or sabotage by the CIA or Ukraine or whatever by just basically taking his body and putting it on the plane and then downing the plane. And, oh, look, there's a burned body. How do you know how long it's been dead? I don't know. Maybe there's some forensic work that can be done on it. But frankly, they've got control of all of this in Russia anyway, so we're probably never going to figure out the truth. And so this is where the implications out of all of this are really what matters. And these are the big takeaways that we have to remember. Whether he died from an insider, whether Putin killed him, whether the CIA or Ukraine killed him, doesn't matter. What it does is two things. Number one, it says, don't mess with Putin. Because the one person who doesn't seem to disappear, get assassinated, or lose is regularly Putin. So there's this encouragement to send a signal to anyone else that everyone else is the enemy, except for Vladimir Putin. Now, there was some, and maybe this was choreographed, but there was some interesting footage in Moscow that looked like Vladimir Putin's convoys, a police convoy and him, were speeding back to the Kremlin later the night after the explosion, almost sending the signal of Putin being surprised, maybe masquerading as, oh, see, we didn't know about it. Who knows? Nobody knows the truth. But again, what do we know as a takeaway with certainty? Don't mess with Putin, number one. One thing he hates is betrayal, and anybody who betrays him seems to end up missing. The second thing we know is Wagner is likely done. Even though Prigozhin's phone was found there, and we don't know if his body's found, whatever, dead or not, we know Wagner is done. There's no way somebody who's faked their death is going to be able to operate the Wagner military group and respect leadership and expect people to actually operate under a leaderless organization. Supposedly the CFO of the Wagner group was also on this plane who has died. I mean, I suppose everybody could just fake their death. But the reality again here is it doesn't really matter who killed Pergoshin. What matters is Wagner is gone. This is a slap in the face to Russia, but it again reiterates, no matter who ended up taking out Prigozhin, it again reiterates that Russia is in control of their own impression of success by keeping Putin alive. And somehow he keeps surviving. In fact, we don't even hear about attempts to take Putin out, though I bet they're happening. So, what does this mean going forward for the war in Ukraine? Nothing. It means we continue one foot in front of the other, slowly waiting for progress in some form of peaceful resolution. In the meantime, each side will fight trench warfare. Hundreds to thousands of more people will die, and we'll continue seeing a little bit of movement this way, a little bit of movement this way, and really, you'll just want to avoid eastern Ukraine. At the same time, life tries to resume in the other parts of Ukraine, but this will still end up being a war-torn region for quite a while. It's unfortunate, but this is the latest on Pergoshin.